right? So what do you get, you know? But definitely
I'm sorry to interrupt you. You've been there from the beginning to now. Like, you've seen such an evolution. What's it like for you to be there on the ground floor to see it today?
Man, you know, I'm originally from New Mexico, right?
Yep.
So like Greg Jackson and those guys, and so to see it, I never thought it would be like a mainstream sport. I don't know, for some reason I didn't think it was gonna be a mainstream sport. So I don't know. I love jiu-jitsu, and I never thought I would fight in the cage, right? So one thing led to another. I was like, I want to test my black belt in the cage, you know. And then they came to New Mexico, and then I was talking to Greg Jackson with and then, you know, started training, and to see, like, back from those early days from the King of the Cage, and that wasn't the early days, but watching Hoist Gracie in the early days, right? Just showing it's one of the things that got me interested in jiu-jitsu, right? More, but yeah, it's beautiful to see all these guys. Like, you know, I was in the card with Dan Severin, and guy who fought Hoist Gracie in the early days, and I was still, when I was fighting, representing the martial art, representing jiu-jitsu, you know.
Yeah.
We had gloves and stuff at that time, you know. But it's a lot different than now. Now everybody's like, you have to be well-rounded, right?
Yeah.
It's not just one martial art versus the other. Where it was still a little bit like that when I first started fighting, right?
Yeah.
But now everybody's like, really, you know, you have to be well-rounded. You have to be good at pretty much everything.
Well, dude, these kids now coming up, wow, they're phenoms. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah, well, the sport's evolved, right? Like back in the day, you could have one discipline.
Amateurs, right?
Yeah. Well, nowadays, I mean, you got amateurs that are just so well-rounded everywhere. You know, now it's like a mainstream sport now. So you got some parents have their kids training MMA since when they're 5 years old, and yeah, it's amazing to see how it's evolved and how fast the sport is growing as well.
Yeah.
I think in jiu-jitsu as well, right? It's like you can't just be doing one thing. You have to do some wrestling. You have to do judo. You know, the J-Flow, right? He has, like, what is it called? Judo, wrestling, jitsu, or something like that. He just makes it all, because you have to do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, even just in the grappling, right? You have to be well-rounded with your takedowns, with your top, bottom, you know. Same thing in MMA, right? And if you're not, you're going to be behind.
Yeah.
And with all the technology, with the videos and everything, right? It's like you got to do the work. You got to do extra work, right?
Yeah, no, it's
and
nuts.
whoever doesn't do it.
Yeah. Listen, I always say, like, nothing good is going to come easy. So I think, you know, some folks in this younger generation want things a little easier and don't want to really put in that hard grind. And I think you really got to, if you want to be something special, you've got to put in, you know, that really hard work. You're not going to make it to the top unless you put in the extra work, in my opinion.
Yeah, but how it's evolved, right? Yeah, it's just, I never thought it was going to be, I shouldn't say I never thought. I just didn't think it was going to be like a mainstream sport. And now to see it on ESPN and, like, on with all the other, like, NFL and football and baseball and everything, and seeing UFC, I'm like, what, you know?